So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a short span of time within 30 minutes because we know that current affairs are important and they need to be covered on a daily basis. We also know that you can't spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we shortlist all the important news items from that day's newspaper and cover them within 30 minutes so that you're left with your entire day covering other parts of UPSC syllabus. Now, just watching this lecture would be job half done because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Why, you ask? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, then these notes shall be shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. All you have to do is just click on that link, it will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes and do the necessary revision. Okay, enough of the introduction. Let's straight away jump into the discussion, but first let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So in total, we'll be covering these 4 topics. Number 1 among them is Abel Prize 2025, which is also known as the Nobel Prize for Mathematics. Okay, it has been recently awarded to a Japanese mathematician, but it is a significant prize because it is also known as Nobel for Mathematics, because Nobel Prize does not include achievements in the field of mathematics. Therefore, there is a separate prize, International Prize for Mathematics. So we'll discuss this prize. Then, art and culture is part of your syllabus, and current affairs related to art and culture become all the more important. Now, Sarhul Cultural Festival is a tribal festival which is celebrated by tribes of Chota Nagpur Plateau in Jharkhand. Okay, so we'll talk about this festival because it is being celebrated. It is celebrated every year on 1st April. So we'll talk about this festival. Then we'll talk about issue with deep sea mining. A recent report came out which said that 40 years ago in the Pacific Ocean, well, some countries mined for critical minerals and precious minerals on the deep sea bed. Okay, but that led to environmental damage, severe environmental damage, and we are yet to recover from that severe environmental damage even 40 years after that event. So what is the issue with deep sea mining? Why do we want deep sea mining? And what are the environmental maleffects of this thing? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about the process of judicial transfers. As you all know this by now, that a Delhi High Court judge, on his official residence, suitcases full of cash, charred notes were found. This brought into question the issue of judicial accountability. Recently, that judge has been transferred to another high court. So, what is the process of judicial transfers? We'll talk about this. Okay, now these are the 4 topics that we'll focus our attention on. Let's start discussing them one by one, starting with Abel Prize 2025. So, Japanese mathematician Masaki Kashiwara was awarded this year's Abel Prize for foundational work in algebraic analysis and representation theory. Okay, you don't need to know what algebraic analysis and representation theory is. Just remember the names of these 2 theories because it is for these 2 theories that this Japanese mathematician has been awarded this prestigious prize. Now, this prize, also known as Nobel for Mathematics, was first awarded in 2003. Abel Prize is often considered to be an equivalent of Nobel Prize, which does not have a category for mathematics. The prize includes a monetary award, 7.5 million kroner, roughly $720,000. Okay, now let's talk a bit more about this prize. Okay, you need to have more knowledge. So it is named after Norwegian mathematician Niels Henrik Abel. Abel Prize recognizes pioneering scientific achievements in mathematics. The prize was established by Norwegian Parliament in 2002 on Abel's 200th anniversary. Okay, the Abel Prize is awarded and administered by Norwegian Academy of Sciences and Letters. And who chooses the awardees? Okay, how is the selection made? So there is a selection committee. Now this selection committee is appointed by Norwegian Academy of Sciences on the basis of recommendation of International Mathematical Union and European Mathematical Society. Okay, so on the basis of recommendations of these two organizations, a selection committee is formed, and this selection committee chooses the candidate who shall receive this award. Now, as you can see on this bottom photo, only one Indian so far has received this prize, and his name was Srinivasan Vardhan. Okay, the only Indian mathematician to have won Abel Prize, often referred to as Nobel Prize of Mathematics, is Srinivas Vardhan in 2007 for his contributions to probability theory, particularly his unified theory of large deviations. No need to remember this, just remember he got the prize. The only Indian with this prize got it for probability theory. Now, he was born in Madras in 1940, awarded the prize in 2007, known for his fundamental contributions to probability theory, and is currently working in America. Okay, he's 82 years of age. All right, that's all you need to know as far as Abel Prize is concerned. Now let's shift our focus to second topic, and which is Sarhul Cultural Festival. So Adivasis in Jharkhand and the larger Chota Nagpur Plateau region, will welcome the new year and the spring season with the Sarhul festival on 1st April. Okay, so Sarhul festival is a new year and spring festival by the local tribes of Chota Nagpur region. Sarhul literally means worship of sal tree. Okay, it's a famous tree, sacred tree basically in the central Indian region. Okay, and it is considered sacred by the central Indian tribes. Sal tree basically. Okay, it has sal flowers and all these things. So Sarhul literally means worship of the sal tree, is among the most revered Adivasi festivals. It is rooted in nature worship and celebrates the symbolic union of the sun and earth. Basically, it's their tribal belief. Okay. Now, about this festival, it is celebrated by Adivasi groups such as Oraon, Munda, Santhal, Khadia, and Ho. It basically demonstrates the spiritual union between humans and natures. Okay, humans are spiritually connected to the nature. Okay, mostly this spiritual connection is preserved by the Adivasi communities who live in these forest areas. So this festival basically celebrates that spiritual connection. Okay, the festival is observed across Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Bihar, and also tribal diaspora. Many tribes who have migrated to Assam, Andaman, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Bhutan. It involves 3 day celebration held at Sarna Sthals. Sarna is basically mother goddess, okay, and Sthal means place, so sacred groves with traditional dances, community feast, consumption of handia, which is rice beer, and offering of sal flowers to the village deity Sarna Ma. All right, that's all. That's all you need to know as far as this particular news or this particular piece of information with respect to art and culture. Okay, tribal art and culture. All right. Now let's shift our focus to third news item, which is issue with deep sea mining. So a strip of Pacific Ocean, as you can see, Clarion Clipperton Zone. This zone in Pacific Ocean. This zone is basically famous for having important minerals on its seabed. Okay, so many important minerals are found on its seabed. Now, 40 years ago, many countries and companies decided to mine for these minerals. Okay, but that mining process led to a lot of environmental damage, and we are still to recover from that environmental damage. That's what the news is all about. A strip of Pacific Ocean seabed that was mined for metals more than 40 years ago has still not recovered, as per a new study. The name of the study is Long-Term Impact and Biological Recovery in Deep Sea Mining Track. It was published in the journal Nature on March 26. Now, this particular study comes at a time when 36 countries attended a council meeting of the UN International Seabed Authority. Now, UN International Seabed Authority is responsible for making rules and regulations with respect to mining of minerals in international waters. As you know, there is this thing called territorial water. These territorial waters lying close to the coastal regions have basically, or countries that share that coastline have sovereign rights in these territorial waters. But deep oceans, also known as international waters, do not come under the sovereign control of any particular country. So we need an international authority to frame rules and regulations with respect to mining in these international waters, because these international waters don't come under control of any country. So for that purpose, we formed UN International Seabed Authority with its headquarters in Kingston, Jamaica. Now, currently 36 countries were discussing issues with respect to deep sea mining, and they were trying to frame certain rules with respect to deep sea mining. In fact, some people were proposing that deep sea mining should be completely banned in international waters. Okay, these things were being discussed at the conference of International Seabed Authority by 36 countries, and it is at this backdrop this report was released. Okay, so that is why this report became significant. Now, about deep sea mining. So, deep sea mining involves removing mineral deposits and metals from the ocean seabed. Now, there are three types of mining, deep sea mining. Okay, taking deposits from rich polymetallic nodules of the ocean. Okay, so there are rich rocks on the seabed which are rich in these minerals. These are known as polymetallic nodules. These polymetallic nodules are significant because they contain many metals. Then mining massive seafloor sulfide deposits, stripping cobalt crusts from the seabed rocks. Okay, these are the three techniques of mining. The third technique gives you cobalt. Cobalt is used in electric vehicle batteries and many other things. Okay, well, sulfide deposits are used for other industrial purposes, and polymetallic nodules contain many important minerals like nickel, copper, ferrous, and many others. Okay. Now, the richest deposits are found in the Clarion Clipperton zone that we just saw in the map, this zone in the Pacific Ocean. Okay. But some resources are also found near hydrothermal vents. Okay. These are the lava vents deep inside the ocean and seamounts. All right. Now, the thing is, well, why do people mine in the deep sea? What are the reasons behind going for deep sea mining? Well, there are certain benefits of deep sea mining. There is high demand for critical minerals these days because you see the entire world is shifting towards green energy. Now, green energy requires various technologies, and those technologies would require these critical minerals. For example, electric vehicle is an example of green technology. Now, these batteries for electric vehicles require these critical minerals. So there is high demand for critical minerals. Demand for cobalt is expected to rise by 400 to 600% by 2040. It is said that the world will be short of cobalt. Okay. Also, other rare earth minerals are critical requirement for green energy transitions. Therefore, companies are searching for alternative mineral resources, and deep sea certainly features in that list of alternative mineral sources. Okay, it is an alternative source because you don't, if you can mine in the deep sea beds, then you don't have to clear the land, cause deforestation, freshwater contamination from terrestrial mining. Plus, deep sea beds are rich in these critical minerals. So there are plentiful reserves. Okay. Now, the thing is, what are the problems with respect to deep sea mining? Okay. So, problem number one is you damage the ecosystem. Problem number two, by damaging the ecosystem, you actually threaten biodiversity in that region, marine biodiversity. Now, if marine biodiversity gets impacted, well, what happens? Well, many animals, marine animals would die, and that would impact the entire food chain. Then it would also it would also cause a threat to carbon cycle. Now, carbon cycle in the oceans is responsible for absorbing atmospheric carbon. Okay, but if this atmospheric carbon is not absorbed into the oceans, well, it will remain in the atmosphere, cause further global warming. So that is why people are thinking seriously about allowing deep sea mining. Okay. Now, about International Seabed Authority, you need to know about this also. So, it is an autonomous international organization established in 1994 to regulate mining and related activities in international seabed beyond national jurisdiction. So, coastal waters, they don't come under this treaty, international waters do. Now, ISA came into existence upon the entry into force of 1982 UN Convention on Laws of the Sea. UN clause basically creates rules and regulations with respect to the conduct of different countries in international waters, because international waters are not the sovereign territory of any particular country. The headquarters of ISA is Kingston, Jamaica, and its current membership includes 169 members, 168 are countries, and the one is European Union. Okay, that's all. That is all that you need to know as far as this issue is concerned. And now let's quickly migrate to topic number 4, which is the process of judicial transfers. Now, as you know, Justice Yashwant Verma is surrounded with certain allegations because some cash was found at his official residence. Now, that brought into question the issue of judicial accountability. Now, to address this problem, what Supreme Court did is Supreme Court actually transferred this High Court judge from Delhi High Court to his native Allahabad High Court. This is basically their way of punishing the judge. Okay, but many activists are not happy with this. They are saying that this judge got away with just a transfer order. Okay, this is what the controversy is all about. So, Union government on Friday notified the repatriation of Justice Yashwant Verma to his parent High Court in Allahabad, where he had previously served as a judge. This move follows the Supreme Court Collegium's earlier recommendations. The decision comes amid allegations that charred currency notes were recovered from his official residence. Now, the thing is, this news is not that important for us. What is important for us is, and questions might be asked from this important thing, that is, what is the procedure of transfer of High Court judges? Okay, how are High Court judges transferred? So, first, let's take a look at the legal provisions. What are the constitutional provisions with respect to transfer of judges? And then we'll talk about the detailed procedure. Okay, so what is the constitution provision? So, Article 222, Clause 1 of the Constitution empowers the President to transfer a judge from one High Court to another in consultation with Chief Justice of India. Okay, so President shall take the opinion of Chief Justice of India, and after taking that due opinion, the President shall pass the order of transfer of a judge from one particular High Court to another. Okay, now there were three cases in the Supreme Court which basically wanted to interpret this article. Okay, because the question was whether this opinion given by Chief Justice of India is binding or not. Okay, so there were three cases in Supreme Court, and after those three cases, also known as the judges' cases, after the third judge's case, it was decided that the opinion of Chief Justice of India is binding. It's not President's discretion. This opinion is binding. So whatever Chief Justice of India will say, the President has to comply by it. Okay, but the catch was that Chief Justice alone cannot give that opinion. Okay, Chief Justice, before giving his opinion, should consult with four senior most judges of the Supreme Court. Okay, now this group, CGI plus four senior most judges, is known as the Collegium. So recommendations shall be made by this Collegium, and these recommendations shall be binding on the President. There is one small caveat. Okay, thing is that this is the Collegium, Chief Justice of India plus four senior most judges. Okay, and the President has to take their opinion, and their opinion is binding. But our Constitution says that any recommendation for the transfer of a High Court judge should also take into account the opinion of Chief Justices of both High Courts. So, Chief Justice of the transferring High Court and Chief Justice of the receiving High Court. So, this Collegium basically takes the advice of both Chief Justices of these both High Courts, and then they give their recommendation to the President. Okay, so this is the legal these are the legal provisions with respect to transfer of High Court judges. Okay, now what is the detailed procedure? So the Collegium finalizes the candidates based on their judicial and administrative records after consultation with relevant High Court and Supreme Court judges. Okay, the recommendations are then forwarded to Law Ministry. The Law Minister reviews and forwards Collegium's recommendation to the Prime Minister, and then Prime Minister discusses it with the President, and President then gives the final approval. Once the final approval is given by President of India, then Department of Justice, okay, under Ministry of Justice, issues a notification which is published in the official gazette. This notification is the transfer order of that High Court judge. So this is the detailed procedure. Okay, but the The thing is, what you need to remember is that collegium is the pivotal or is the most important cog in this wheel of judicial transfers. Okay, everything revolves around collegium, Supreme Court collegium. All right. Okay. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well, because revision will help you to remember these current affairs till your exams. So please do not forget to revise these current affairs. Okay? And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.